Okay, we're going to do a big picture review of our indexes and the bonds and gold and oil, some currencies. So I think what I'd like to do first is probably look at the indexes that we look at. So we've got the DAX, and you can see the DAX been in an obvious channel for quite some time. We had a little pullback there a couple of weeks ago, and it come back really nicely from that. It's starting to sort of stall a little bit now, and we've got this bracket forming up here around the 9600 level, which is a pretty important level for the DAX. So here's your bracket there. So the highs are right there at 9800. So DAX is pretty easy to look at in terms of some important levels. Again, there's no reason to expect that we would go anywhere but up at the moment, because it's a pretty strong trend. But like I said, it's starting to get to the point where there's obviously some longs that are starting to get out, and we just need some new shorts to start piling on top of them, and then maybe we can get a break lower. Well, that's my view anyway. The FTSE has been in a nice pop since a couple weeks ago, so it's really popped higher, and again, to me it's the same kind of thing. What happens is we get these real nice thrusts higher, and then we tend to get these little channels that form when the market starts to get a little bit too long, right? Or the same thing happens on the short side, and it happens quite a bit. You get, especially after a big thrust higher or lower, sometimes you'll get this channel as the market bleeds off the residual positions, and every time it pops higher, people just take profits or cover shorts, or whichever way you're going. So this could go on for longer than we think, as it usually does. But to me, we'll have something like this happen here. We'll either grind higher, it'll be a grind higher, or we'll pop lower, and maybe we'll come down to test a longer term sort of trend line. So that's the FTSE and the DAX. The ES is, again, it's the same thing on the ES. You've had this massive thrust higher, and now we're seeing a pretty good volume divergence here too, on both or all the indexes. So the volume's not really agreeing with this move, and you can even see there that the highest volume bar was some positions getting out there, selling into some strength there probably. And even these bars here, you're starting to wonder. We got a nice little triangle pattern here forming consolidation. So I'm really expecting a pop soon, and I don't know which direction, but and I don't really want to take a particular direction on the market, but we know we are in a pretty tight little pattern here now. And this is the NQ, same thing, volume divergence is there. It's been a nice strong trend higher. You can see the channels. Nice trend. I think it's just due for a pullback soon. Now it doesn't mean it's going to be right away, but I'm just saying it's looking that way. So let's see if the bonds agree. Because if we pull back, then especially if we pull back in a hurry, then we could see a flight to safety in the bonds. This is the ZB, the 30-year bond, and you can see that we're coiling for a break higher here, and you could argue that we've already broken it. Okay, so and again, it's not like it's going to be a huge move, but I'd say it'll take us to this resistance level here anyway. Right. So, and the 10-year bond is sort of showing the same kind of thing. So I'll just pop that over so you can see that. And a pop higher would take that, you know, up to here, sort of that 127,255 level as well. So let's just change the color so we can see that a little bit better. Okay, so yeah, so the bonds are sort of agreeing with all that. Let's just have a look at the dollar index. And the dollar index is putting in a pretty big triangle here. You know, we don't know how that's going to work out, but it's sort of looking like we've put in a short-term bottom in this area. So it'd be interesting to see if we get a bit of a push higher in the dollar, which is usually typical of a flight to safety as well. The Australian dollar has come back pretty good to the 90 level, and now it's in a bracket, and it's starting to look a little bit weak now. So it'll be interesting to see, because usually that'll sell off too if the indexes start to sell off. So you can see that you know, we sort of come back up and tested this break here, you know, so around this area here. Oops. Excuse me, and now we're starting to see some lower bars on the daily, but we're still within this bracket. So really, our 89 level is what we're watching on we need to watch on the Australian dollar. The euro has been in a pretty big bracket for quite a while now. So if you look at this larger range, you can see that we're sort of putting in some kind of a consolidation sort of pattern here. You know, whether it's a triangle or, you know, who knows what it is. But I'm not really a big pattern guy, but you know, it's definitely in a range, right? So, and whether it could lead to a break to all-time highs or a break lowered back down in the range, we don't know until we start to visit the extremes of the bracket. So that's one thing we'll be watching on the euro. So the only two left we have to do really are gold and oil, and we can see that that gold's become a lot less volatile recently. So you know, can we expect this move higher to continue? I think this is a bit of a measured move here, and I reckon it's pretty much done. It's tried to push higher, and maybe we could come up to this 1360 level again, but we're definitely going to get a little bit of resistance there. So we'll pop in a little line there to remind us 1360 is kind of a key level for gold. You know, it's been in a little bit of a channel the past few weeks, so we've had a pretty nice pop up from the lows back in the first of the year. So, and that is like I guess a double bottom. So if we do take out this 1430 level, then we could probably expect to go quite a bit higher, and maybe even revisit that 1500 and 1600 sort of level too. So we'll see what happens with gold. Crude oil. So crude oil really should see a pullback if the indexes sell off, and this has been in a really great channel here for those trading crude. You can see that it's really popped up nicely there. So we've gone from 92 to nearly 104, and 104 is pretty much our key level for crude. Higher than 104, and we should take out the you know, at least 108.80, if not the highs on the CL contract. So that's something that we're watching as well at the moment. If we sell off, then perhaps we could come back down to this 92 level here again. So that's something. These are all dailies, of course. All right, so that's a pretty quick wrap up on the markets. Certainly the ones that I'm watching, anyways, and I think they tie in pretty well together, so you can sort of get an overall picture where we're at. You know, there's always lots of interesting times in the market, but I think everybody's getting a little bit nervous that things are a little bit overdone, which means that we're probably all wrong. But and it'll go on a lot longer than we think. But anyways, we can only trade what we see, so that's what we're keeping an eye on for the moment. Anyway, I think that most obvious thing at the moment is bonds. I think if I were going to look for some opportunities, and there's some pretty good opportunities there already for some longs in bonds. On the indexes, we've got some pretty key levels marked out there, so those are the levels I'll be watching there. And the Australian dollar, I'll look for that to, I think that's definitely going to test that 89 level, so there might be an opportunity there. That's all for now. Cheers.